Member of Parliament claims Ebola virus has arrived in France. That story's coming up. Infowars.com now accepts Bitcoin. Now, there's a video up there on Infowars.com that just went live that breaks down why we accept Bitcoin, and it gets into the fact that it could supplant, or cryptocurrencies like it, the private globalist Federal Reserve, IMF, World Bank system. So Infowars now accepts Bitcoin. That article is up on Infowars.com. And the video, there's video of federal snitch Reverend Sharpton confronted in Ferguson, Missouri. He looks like he's dying in the video, man. He's got some lady helping him walk. And a former Marine warns of terrifying militarized occupation of America. That's some of the video. Gun control, moves by the ATF, video of snipers pointing laser scopes at unarmed Ferguson protesters, and more on prisonplanet.com and Infowars.com. Going back to Joe Biggs to finish up. Joe, with your experience in Afghanistan and in Iraq, undoubtedly very dangerous places where you yourself got shot and blown up a couple times in armored vehicles. I've just talked to a lot of veterans and also watched a lot of videos. Generally, unless somebody was doing something really suspicious, I didn't see troops aiming guns at them. I saw a lot of videos of protests in Afghanistan and Iraq, and I wouldn't really see people aiming guns at them. People would have guns. There'd be guns on armored vehicles ready to be swung up, but you didn't point guns at general crowds because obviously that would make them hate you. That tended to escalate things. Am I incorrect in saying that that was Army policy that made sense? Or correct me. I mean, compare that, what you experienced in war zones, to having laser pointers, laser sights on AR-15s pointed at peaceful protesters.
Well, what you do in a situation like that, it's called the low ready. And like you said, you don't have your weapon pointed up at anybody. You have your, the weapon cocked down with the muzzle pointing at the ground where you could quickly bring it up if need be, if there's a threat. It's called the low ready, and you use that as a non-threatening way when you're in a situation like that. Last night, what we encountered when we were told we could come and talk to the public information officer down here, we were not met with a low ready. We were met with intent to shoot. These guys had at the ready, pointing at people, having a laser on them. As a veteran, I don't quite appreciate, serving my country and then coming into this town, this police state, a complete militarization of what's going on. I mean, basically what this is martial law happening right here in Ferguson. I don't like when I come up there and they're pointing a gun at me, especially when I've done nothing and everyone's hands are up in the air. It's complete lawlessness. These guys were out of control. I mean, it was way too much force for what was here. You don't shoot an elephant with an artillery round. It just doesn't make sense.
If you guys did stuff like this in Iraq or Afghanistan, what would have happened?
They would start throwing bottles at us. Someone would call the Taliban, and then more than likely we would get ambushed and killed. You try to be respectful because that they have grievances as well. They're trying to talk about protests, what it is that they're upset about. And if you go in there pointing guns at everyone like that, all it does is incite violence.
Now, that's from somebody on the outside studying warfare and history. That was what I believed. You've experienced it. That I don't get why militarized police act different than military. They think aiming guns at people and shouting and trying to scare people scares them. Instead, it's making Americans totally hate the police.
Because what they do, Alex, is they get this young hotshot guy who used to be Johnny Football, so to say, and couldn't quite make it in the military. And now what he's done is he takes that mentality of being this, Rambo-esque type guy, and he joins the police force and gets thrown on a SWAT team, and now he thinks he can just go around pointing weapons. It's a lack of training. That's what it is. And it's taking someone without any kind of life experience whatsoever and putting them in a godlike situation with a weapon in a rural city in America, and that's when bad things happen. I expect tonight to be just as heated as it was last night.
Well, they were told, you're our sniper team. Get up there on top that, and anybody gets across that line, you put a laser on them so we all know who's designated. And I'm sure it was, quote, officers with the laser designating everyone else for controlled field of fire if they pull something on us. And what's going to happen is one cop's going to pull the trigger. Oh, there's video, yeah, of the lasers on the black man's back. Oh, my God. Oh, my. Okay, well, they just sent us the HD footage. I hadn't seen this.
It's pretty intense.
People with their hands up with lasers on them and with their hands up in the back. And if it turns out this guy they shot was shot in the back, this is unbelievable. Again, folks, we just sent reporters there to find out the truth.
Well, last night, too, there was a gun.
What's going on?
Just heard it sound like some kind of shot or something in the distance. Last night, the mainstream media was, for the most part, off to the side of the road. Jakari Jackson and I were the only ones really out there standing in between the crowd of protesters and the riot police in the middle of the zone where if you walked in that area, they'd start pointing a weapon at you. And, you know, I'm not going to sit here and hide behind the crowd. We got out there and got the best footage we could.
Good job.
So America could see what was happening. You know, these guys were pointing guns on us, and we got as close as we could.
By the way, it looks like these guys are at least 70 or 80 yards away with cops aiming loaded firearms.
Oh, they were maybe, 75 meters away from that incident. I mean, where that was going on. If these guys were in a safe area, and what really sparked it off was the people, for the most part, were standing on the side of the road because they didn't want to get gassed because it's happened before in the past. Well, one of the police officers says, you need to go home, go back to where you came from. And everyone said, what do you mean by that? And it just sparked people yelling, screaming, F the police, you can't do this. Why are you making us live in a militarized police zone? This is martial law. Why are you turning Ferguson into the Gaza Strip? We're tired of this. We have rights. Why aren't you letting us exercise our rights to protest peacefully?
Well, again, and there are also a bunch of idiot thugs that burn some stuff down, but that doesn't mean you get to then just point guns at people who are 75 meters away, which I guess that's about 75 yards.
Yeah, I mean, all the people I spoke to last night were very cool, calm, and collective. They were very well spoken. They had an agenda as to why they were there. They had a reason to speak. They knew what they were talking about, and they did it in a very orderly fashion.
Well, I'd seen the video earlier with the lasers, and the way the video cut, I thought the crowd was like 50 yards away. I didn't realize you were 75, 80. Now I'm looking at video. It looks like 90 yards away, 80 meters. I mean, this is outrageous. People with their hands up with loaded guns aimed at them with lasers on their chest. I mean, do the cops know what's going to happen? I guess they already shot somebody else last night.
Yeah.
I mean, how do we know they didn't just randomly shoot somebody in the back last night again?
I mean, like I said, I'm pretty sure the way everyone is around here, everyone's very heated about this, very emotional, and I think for the next few days, this is going to continue to happen every night, and we're going to be here to keep bringing you coverage about what's going on for Infowars.com.
Well, we talked to the firefighter that owns the gun shop, and he's pretty police, and he says they're pretty professional. So I just really want to get the truth here. I don't want to take sides, but, man, I was kind of leaning towards the police yesterday, but we sent you up there to find out the truth. And now they're acting like this. I can't believe the police sent you down there, and then they were aiming guns at you when you arrived.
That's what really, teed me off the most. That's what I did not like, and I found extremely disrespectful and just unprofessional in every way. That the police officer a mile down the road at the other end clearly told Jakari, if you want to go down there, you're free to walk down there, and you can go and speak to them. And we were met by riot police with guns pointed at us. Very unprofessional. We obviously had our hands up. We saw the people doing it. And as we were walking down, Jakari, Josh, and I were all putting our hands up, saying, hands up, don't shoot. We were all being compliant with what was going on as we approached that area. And they just started breaking out the sniper rifles and pointing them at people.
Well, I'm going to go to some calls here. Joe Biggs, continue to file reports. And I'd like to, I know I sent you guys on short notice, but I'd like you guys to stay there basically as long as this continues to unfold, because if they can get the police to pull off a new Kent State, Obama would love that, to get riots going nationwide so he can then bring in martial law. We need those police to reach out to the community and to treat them respectfully and to stop pointing guns at them for no reason, because we don't want the police to look bad, and we don't want the states to look bad, and we don't want Obama to send federal troops into there. I mean, we can see where all this is going. We don't want to start new Watts riots. Can you imagine what Al Sharpton and Obama will do with that? They will have a heyday with this. And I'm telling you, that sheriff and the police chief and the mayor and all of them better get their you-know-what together right now, Joe.
Well, the people of Washington need to sit back and look. the ones who are trying to take weapons away from people and saying that they don't have that right. This QT didn't have weapons, and look at it. It's completely demolished. The tattoo shop is fine. The gun store, fine. And the other little stores right there kind of beside them were fine. Why? Because they were exercising their rights to have those weapons, and they did not get affected by this.
Sure. Joe, have you run into any listeners who are Infowars.com visitors or listeners?
So far, I have not, Alex, but I'm sure if we're here, you know, this will be our first full day. We got here pretty late last night, right when a lot of the stuff was happening, but I'm sure over the next day or so,
sure, I mean, I found from England to you name it, we're either mobbed or no one knows who we are. It's like either or. As we've seen many times in live feeds, listeners walking by saying, hey, Infowars.com. But, you know, try to identify how politically informed folks are. I heard some yelling going on. Can we pan around while I take some phone calls? And I just want to keep the feed up so folks can see what's going on. I heard some shouting or yelling. What was going on?
The gentleman's right there pointing at the building and saying this is what it's not about. You know, this is about the death of a person, not the looting of everything.
You're right. Yeah. All right, Joe, thank you so much for the reporting. Great job to you and Jakari and, of course, Josh Owens there. Really wartime reporting. This is wartime coverage in America with these armored vehicles we were told were for Al-Qaeda being used on peaceful crowds. And this will only escalate things. And I guess if these sheriff's department guys want to escalate it and want to get a civil war going, they're idiots. I mean, that's all I can say. I mean, I have to reserve some judgment for now. I've got to, you know, sit there and reserve judgment on that. Now, our phone feed screen went down for a minute. There it is. So I'm going to be able to go to your phone calls now. I just briefly wanted to remind listeners that this is listener-supported radio and TV. We don't have all the answers. We don't know everything, but we love freedom, and we try to tell the truth. That's our North Star. We deserve support. We are getting support. We want to thank you for the support. But when you do buy the high-quality supplements at InfoWarsLife.com, when you do buy the Molon Labe Second Amendment shirts, when you do buy the high-quality Pro Pure G2 filters, protect yourself from fluoride and glyphosate and get the best price out there on the best filter out there and support the transmission. And we're offering the back-to-school, back-to-brainwashing special for back-to-school, 10% off everything at InfoWarsStore.com or InfoWarsLife.com. And so you can also simply call toll-free with promo code 10 for 10% off and get 10% off when you call as well. 888-253-3139. And we are almost sold out of Silver Bullet, Lung Cleanse, and other things. We are sold out of the DNA Force. But we've got not so much a poor man's DNA Force, but something coming out next week that has other compounds that aren't as expensive, that are known to do some of the same things as well, that we'll have a more plentiful supply of, and it's going to be very, very affordable. We're going to announce something very exciting, a new product for InfoWarsLife.com next week. But again, 10% off everything, 888-253-3139, 888-253-3139. Okay, let's now go to your phone calls here. Felicia in Oregon, thanks for calling. You're welcome onto the airwaves. Go ahead.
Hi, Alex. First thing I want to say is I'm pretty emotional and passionate, so if I piss someone off, I apologize.
You know what? It's political correctness to worry about that. Just go ahead. Never apologize for your passion.
Anyway, I am so sick of Christians telling me, why do I bother? This is all in God's plan. That's pure BS. It's my understanding it's for none to perish. And this goes for the Middle East as well as America. We are not a powerless people. We serve a strong and mighty God. We can call on him to smite those who are persecuting our brothers and sisters in the Middle East.
Exactly, but we have state-run churches that aren't really Christian churches saying, praise God, things are getting better, you're going to get out of here soon. They'd rather complain about a woman's short skirt and you know, feel all goody two-shoes about it than go protest at an abortion clinic. And so they're the modern Pharisees, and so you just need to move on. You notice Christ didn't preach all day to the people that claimed they'd found God. He preached to the people that were unwashed who wanted to hear the truth.
Know that. But it's just this is a time for spiritual warfare. A heartfelt prayer does avail much. We can write to our congressmen. We are not a powerless people. And I'm sick of hearing, oh, woe is us. We're all just here to be victims. We're not. We serve a mighty God.
Well, David should have laid down to the Philistines. Christ should have done what Herod said and what the Pharisees said. All the prophets that were killed should have followed orders, Romans 13. They shouldn't have gone in the lion's den. They shouldn't have gone in the fiery furnace. Moses shouldn't have stood up against Pharaoh. They should have followed Hitler's order of Romans 13, twisted to serve the state. It is God. You understand these are demon creatures.
I do understand it, but we need to come back at them with our own heartfelt prayer of strength in a mighty and strong God.
I hear you, Felicia, and I totally agree with you. God bless you. I really appreciate you calling. Don't forget InfoWars Nightly News tonight, 7 o'clock Central, InfoWarsNews.com. And this hour is brought to you by MyPatriotSupply.com. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com/Alex to find their very best specials. And they got a lot of other great preparedness items, great storable food, very high quality, non-GMO, great customer service. 866-229-0927. MyPatriotSupply.com/Alex. Get prepared today. Let's go to Kyle in Iowa. Wants to talk about abortion. Well, don't do that. I mean, that wouldn't be Christian. The state says abortion's good, so all Christians should abort babies. Go ahead, Kyle.
Of course. You know, I guess I want to talk about that and just throw out a little message for everyone. I called in, oh gosh, I don't know, a couple months ago, and I had said something about how we need to find ways to market the truth, and I thought of a quick 30-second pitch for the Federal Reserve, and I got another one for you. You know, really relating to abortion, because I think in order to win this fight, we have to deconstruct the kind of pre-designed arguments that they've came up with to sell us on a lot of this crap. So for abortion, you know, I guess the way I try to articulate it to people is tell people it's not a choice, but or getting pregnant is not a choice, but it is a consequence of a choice. So it's being pitched as a choice, but really that's the furthest thing from the truth. And then you couple that with the fact that, you know, the other argument is, well, it's a woman's body. Well, the reality is that fetus, that human baby, from a DNA standpoint, is genetically unique and dissimilar from the mother.
Well, look, here's the deal. It's another entity. When you start killing the babies unborn, next is the old people, and now that's begun. And next it's let's have death panels and let's not give veterans care. It's a predatory society sold as a communitarian collectivist society when it's a cannibalistic society. And abortion is not abortion in the life of a mother. It's a medical procedure. You change definitions. They'd always gone in and done surgeries. If a mother was going to die, the baby was going to die anyways, and done a surgery, and then they try to save the baby, but it dies. That's not abortion. But they spin it and stuff. And they say, well, what if in the case of rape? And it just goes on and on. It's being done to sell the idea of a culture of death. It doubles a woman's chances of uterine cancer. They're not telling women that. They're not telling them there's groups that'll pay for their baby, pay for them to have it. They just keep women ignorant and sell Planned Parenthood as this loving liberal organization, not the Nazi-founded scum-of-the-earth trash that liberals are. Mainline American, British, and German liberals are Nazis. period. The scum of the earth. Thank you for the call. Let's go to Mac in South Carolina. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex, I have a quick question for you and just a point I'd like to make. I don't know if you saw this Daily Caller article out there right now about ISIS wanting to fly the flag of Allah over America. But along with this,
yeah, we reported on it last week. They said they're going to take over the White House and fly it. The Bubba effect is what the Pentagon trains for, not to fight al-Qaeda. In Tennessee or Texas or North Carolina is in the Pentagon drills. It's been in Forbes magazine to take on gun owners. If we don't turn our guns in, it's terrorists, and they have to come crush us. But then meanwhile, it could be the Bubba effect where you get a bunch of mainly white cops in a southern area like Missouri. And then you got a bunch of thugs running around burning stuff because the cops might have or might not have done something wrong. And then the cops get brutal on peaceful people, and then that triggers an event. Cops shoot a bunch of people like a new Kent State. It's over. Because you have a federal government that is going to race bait under Obama, and this could be the false flag. They could use a crisis like this to absolutely burn the country down. So I just want cooler heads to prevail and to not have the police be provocative, aiming lasers at peaceful people, 75, 80 meters away with their hands up. I mean, I would get mad if I was there covering something and a laser was on me. I mean, it's just a joke. It's so sick. Mac, flesh out your point about the Bubba effect. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I do a small show on Saturday nights at theweekendconspiracy.com, and we've come up with a second piece of this that we think is very important, and I think it's the New World Order system of problem, reaction, solution, but I think there's going to be two solutions. I think the second solution, particularly with this Ferguson thing, there's a lot of armchair patriots, people out there. They're going to actually ask for more of this militarized police.
I've always said that as society breaks down, you'll need the military and martial law. Not that it's good. The collapse is staged, but still the collapse is real. The troops are in a rock and a hard place, and you'll need them to keep the power plant running.
Yes. And last point, Alex, one of the things I've talked to a lot of people here recently on the show, and we've interviewed a bunch of people who are involved with satanic ritual abuse. And if that's as prolific as I think it is, and our government, and they're behind some of this, I'm afraid there's no hope for this country.
Well, we do have incredible numbers of really sick pedophiles. And I don't mean people dating 17-year-old girls. I mean 3-year-old babies. Just are filling the Democratic and Republican Party. And people go, why are there so many in the Catholic Church, you name it? Because one of them gets in, they recruit more in, like Penn State or whatever. And so, yeah, I mean, this country is run by absolute just filthy scum. And they've got a bunch of well-meaning people beneath them who don't know about it, enforcing this whole police state in the name of safety. And all you're doing is securing a panopticonic technocracy of total surveillance to suppress good people. Matthew in Alabama, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to make a few statements about the Federal Reserve.
Yeah, you bet. We're not screening calls. You're live on air right now.
I would also like to give you a quick history lesson about...
Go ahead. Start giving me the history lesson. Go ahead.
It's about the 1776, the year that you like to talk about. It's about the Revolutionary War, more specifically the reasons behind it. In a lot of schools all over the country these days, and for a long time now, we were told it was because of the taxes, correct? The P-tax,
yes,
tax, all that stuff. But I'm here to say that that is, for the most part, incorrect. The reason behind the Revolutionary War, King George III actually made illegal our colonial scripts.
Oh, I know. Yeah, we revolted over taxes. The French got manipulated by a group of criminals to overthrow one system and put in another tyranny. We're one of the only truly successful revolutions in history that didn't make things worse. And that's why so much of world future events will be decided about what happens here now. Matthew, I got McGovern on for about 45 minutes. If you want to hold, you can get to your other point, and I'll get to all the other callers. If not, you can hang up. We'll be back with Ray McGovern, top CIA analyst.
Hi, I'm Dr. Edward Group. Today I'd like to talk about the war on women. You've experienced and heard about the benefits of Super Male Vitality. Now, the new formula has arrived. Introducing the new Super Female Vitality. I have specifically designed this formula to help the body naturally regulate itself without the use of artificial hormones. Key ingredients chosen from the highest quality sources. Each of these ingredients works synergistically with the female body in order to maximize overall vitality. You've heard the reviews and the feedback on how the original Super Male Vitality has revitalized relationships. Now, both the man and the woman can have the revitalization in their own bodies with Super Male Vitality and Super Female Vitality. Secure your Super Female Vitality today from our limited stock at InfoWarsLife.com.